It's Thursday, which means it's time for this week's Live Picks. Now, Olivia, I know you're not opposed to tattoos, right? But have you considered getting one that is hand-poked?
Hand-poked? I don't know, honestly, because it sounds like it'll take longer, but the technique could actually be more precise. Yeah, but I think we have to hear more from travel correspondent Clara Lock. So, Clara, what are the pros and cons of hand-poked tattoos when we compare it to, the more common ones that use the electric guns?
So artists and customers that I spoke to both say that the process of getting a hand-poked tattoo overall feels less intense, and for some that means it's less painful, because when you get a tattoo with an electric gun, it's basically the gun controlling the needle and it can go really fast. So the process might be over quickly, but some people can feel intimidated by the buzzing, and it's overall quite a stimulating experience, and for some people that's a little bit scary. So for hand-poked tattoos, some customers say it's actually quite calming. Artists have said they've had people fall asleep during the process. Some people compare it to removing blackheads, and all that sounds very innocuous for something like a tattoo. So I think it depends on whether you prefer something that's quick and over fast, or a kind of more gentle sensation that's going to be drawn out. So one of the artists I spoke to who does both hand-poke and electric tattoos says that hand-poke tattoos can take about 3 to 5 times longer. So it really just depends on what you're more comfortable with and what you think is going to be a more pleasant experience.
Traditionally, this hand-poking technique is used for spiritual and religious tattoos, like cultures in, for example, the Maori people in New Zealand, right? You spoke to a few hand-poke tattoo artists here as well, like you mentioned. Where do they get the inspiration for these tattoos?
A lot of artists, I think, they get inspiration from the things they see around them, the things they experience, and the things that have growing up. So a lot of hand-poke tattoos, because they take so much longer than electric ones, the tattoos that people want generally are quite small, between 3 to 5 cm. But there are also artists who want to push themselves to do bigger pieces because it allows for more creative expression. I think if you're choosing an artist, it also depends on what they like and what you like, and then you try and find a good match.
Yeah, of course. Well, Clara, do these hand-poke tattoo artists need a license to operate? And when it comes to hand-poke tattoos, are there any potential hygiene or safety issues?
So the tattoo industry in Singapore is not regulated, but the artists I spoke to, they all are very aware that they want to uphold a high standard of safety and hygiene. So they learn these things through the same places they picked up their tattoo skills. So they learn it on the internet, on YouTube, on Reddit, and almost all of them have tattoos themselves. So they've seen how it's done at a tattoo studio, how the tattoo studios would disinfect the beds and only use new needles. And so these are all things they recreate when they're doing it either in their home studios or in studios that they've set up for themselves. And I think overall the sentiment is that they are aware of the risks, and of course the risk involved the same things that you would risk when you're getting an electric tattoo, like you can get a skin infection, you could get scarring at the tattoo site, but overall they try to maintain high hygiene standards, because even though hand-poke tattoos are quite new to Singapore, or at least new among these young people who are picking up this craft, they want to establish it as something serious, as something proper that they can create into careers, and that's why they hold themselves to a high standard.
Thank you, Clara. We've been speaking to our travel correspondent, Clara Lock. Now, you can read more about these hand-poked tattoo artists on straitstimes.com.
Yan, it's almost time for dinner. I hope you're not too hungry, because you'll be in agony for the next few minutes as we have the Straits Times food editor, Tan Hsueh Yun, here to talk about artisanal pizzas. Hsueh, I saw some of the photos that you sent and they look absolutely so yummy. So artisanal pizzas, they're making a comeback. In what ways are they different from those sold at, the chain stores?
Okay. Well, the thing is that they're not really making a comeback. They're actually kind of making a debut. We have had really good pizzas at Mozza, and a couple of other places. But these new pizza places kind of opened by Singaporeans, And what differentiates their pizzas from the chain ones are that the dough is fermented over many hours, sometimes 48 hours, sometimes more than 12. And that long, slow fermentation develops flavor in the dough. And honestly, the dough is sometimes even more important than the toppings. Chubi sticks a lot to the classics. So, their dough, a lot of these places, they serve pizzas with Neapolitan style dough. So Neapolitan in Naples is where pizza began, right? They have a couple of other ones, pulled pork, for people who want a little bit more, a more elaborate pizza topping. Then with 4 a.m. and Smalls, they just go nuts with the toppings. So recently at 4 a.m. I had a breakfast pizza which had bacon, tater tots, scrambled eggs, and a lot of other things, and it's delicious. So it really depends on how much of a purist you are. Whether or not you like something which is quite minimal, so that you can focus on the dough, or if you like the artistry and the inventiveness of some of the pizza purveyors these days, and they are not afraid of just going for it and doing very daring toppings.
All right. Hsueh, there's so many to choose from. I have to ask you, what are some of your favorites?
Okay. I really like 4 a.m. pizza. Okay. I kind of think that the best pizza in Singapore, the absolute best pizza in Singapore, is at Casa Nostra. That is a private dining business, and you cannot get a seat or a table for love or money because it is so fully booked out, right? So Antonio, who runs Casa Nostra, he consulted on the 4 a.m. pizza dough, and the 4 a.m. pizza dough is not exactly like his, but it's very close, and the dough is fantastic. And I love the creative way in which they think about the toppings and the flavors. So that would be my pick.
Well, thanks for whetting our appetites there, Hsueh. That was Tan Hsueh Yun, food editor for the Straits Times.
We have a long weekend coming up next week, and journalist Jen Lee is here to share more about a film that's just been nominated for 4 Golden Globes, including Best Motion Picture Drama category.
Well, Yan is talking about Promising Young Woman starring Carey Mulligan. Jen, we know you're very excited to catch this one. As Yan said, it's been nominated for 4 Golden Globes. What are the strongest points in this film?
Okay, so it's actually a like sort of rape revenge film, which sounds like a bit odd on the surface, I know, but it's basically about this young woman, promising, you know how in rape cases people always call the perpetrators of sexual assault promising young men to try and say like what they've done is not as bad to ruin their future. So like the title is a bit of a trope, like a play on that, so it's called Promising Young Woman. So it's about this woman who basically dropped out of medical school due to some sort of unspecified trauma at the start of the film. You will find out what it is as the film goes on. And it's just like about how she pretends to be drunk at clubs, and she hooks guys who are trying to take advantage of the fact that she's drunk. And then when they bring her home, she like sobers up, and the men are like really scared that she'll hurt them or something. So over the course of the film, you'll find out why she dropped out of med school. You'll find out why she's embarked on this journey of like vigilantism almost.
And Jen, the film talks about sexual assault, not an easy subject to navigate. How does the film fare in this aspect?
From like early reviews that I've read, people have said that the screenplay is very, very strong. So that's also nominated for a Golden Globe. The screenplay is written by, and the film is also directed by Emerald Fennell, who, if you watch The Crown, you'll notice that she's Camilla Parker Bowles, like she plays Camilla Parker Bowles. And I think the script is very strong, that's what I've heard. And I've also heard that the film is very much about just like female rage, which it centers on how angry the woman at the center of the story is and why she's so angry. And it also looks at how different parts of society, different people, including women, help people to get away with sexual assault, help to downplay the intensity of it. And I think that's a pretty interesting way of looking at sexual assault, to frame it as a rape, right? To frame it as a rage issue, because why shouldn't women be angry about this thing, right? We try to not come across as emotional. We try to not come across as angry because we want to be rational. We want to reason with people, but you should be angry about these things,
Yeah. Well, now I'm intrigued with the movie.
Yeah,
well,
I think you should check it out.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Jen, for sharing. We've been speaking with journalist Jen Lee.
Well, Promising Young Woman will be out in local cinemas on March 18th, but you can catch sneak previews in select cinemas from tomorrow to Sunday, as well as over the Chinese New Year holidays.
Well, you can check out the Friday pages as well in tomorrow's live section for more ideas on what you can do this weekend.